What's going on, FA Nation? Welcome back. This is the Fantasy Alarm NASCAR DFS podcast. Back after a week off. Didn't need to do a podcast for the All-Star race as it's an exhibition race. But we are back to preview one of the biggest races of the year for the NASCAR Cup Series. But Matt, before we dig into Charlotte and the huge weekend ahead for motorsports, we were talking before we started recording that I didn't really have eyes on the North Wilkesboro action this weekend. Didn't really watch the All-Star race. I caught the highlights. Saw some highlights for the truck race, but I had some personal things that I was attending to back this past weekend. And so I guess the big takeaway and what everyone wants to talk about is what happened after Sunday's race between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, from all accounts, it was a fairly boring All-Star race. Again, I did not watch it either. I'm not sure I got on the computer all weekend, or certainly most of the weekend. Took a little bit of a break, watched some other sports, hung out with the kids. Got some yard work done. But yeah, that fight really seemed to be the main talking point. That and the new asphalt looked great, but raced like crap. And Joey Logano, again, on a new thing, shows up and wins. So there's that. He's $1 million richer. I don't know what we want to make out of it. But yeah, Stenhouse Jr. getting into actual fisticuffs with Kyle Busch and basically his entire pit crew that were throwing people. First of all, Kyle Busch got thrown to the ground into a stack of Goodyear tires, right? And then Stenhouse Jr.'s dad got involved, although he was really just trying to keep Kyle Busch away, it appeared. And then pit crew guys were throwing each other off the back of a hauler. Good old, what do we want to call it? Donnybrook? How about that? How about we throw it back because it was North Wilkesboro. Props to Stenhouse for waiting 198 laps to want to fight Kyle Busch. Like, you had a long time to think about that.
Yeah, you had a long time to kind of cool down and maybe collect yourself. And as it turns out, he was still just pissed off.
And waiting at Kyle Busch's hauler. Like, it's not like Busch hunted him down. Stenhouse is just hanging out there, leaning on the side of his hauler with his legs crossed. Like, what's up, man? You want to talk?
It's weird because I actually think things like that, I mean, I know most professional sports kind of condemn fighting and everything. For NASCAR, I actually think it's good for the sport.
I agree. If you want a great history lesson, go back and watch Dale Jr. talk about the most famous Daytona 500 ever, which is, I think, the 1979, when it was late 70s. It was the first nationally televised wall-to-wall NASCAR event on TV. And thanks to a late snowstorm in the Northeast, everybody was snowed in and nothing else to watch, so they watched NASCAR. So that really blew up the sport. And I think Donnie Allison and somebody else got into fisticuffs in the infield after the race. Great racing, a lot of crashes, obviously Daytona. But yeah, there was a fisticuffs, and that's what really sold the sport. So you talking about fighting being good. Yeah, fast cars and people fighting is usually a pretty good thing to put on television. So,
well, I just think you see there's personality. You love to see when the guys care, especially for an exhibition race. But at the same time, there's no real danger to these guys fighting on pit road. I mean, Ross Chastain clocked Noah Gragson real well last year.
He did. His face made a sound when he got hit.
Yeah, and so I don't have a problem that these guys are not getting suspended for that. For NASCAR, they set the bar very high for what dictates a suspension. You have to egregiously wreck somebody intentionally, and obviously
and stated on the radio that's what your sole goal is. Yeah.
But yeah, fighting on pit road, it's going to happen a few times every year across all the series, and so it's part of the sport. I'm a fan of it. I look forward to that. If we know it's coming every week.
Yeah, the more concerning thing for me is Kyle Busch's statement, "I suck as bad as you do, so let's just go for it." For an RCR driver to be like, "Yeah, man, I'm as bad as a one-car team that nobody really thinks about except for 6 races a year. That can't be great, right? Like Kyle's.
Do you think Richard Childress likes hearing that?
I don't know, man. It was certainly a hold my watch moment, right? Like it can't be. His grandson is already getting crap because he's a silver spoon kid who just got handed the number 3 car without any real credentials or bona fides to be in that ride. And now you sign basically the best driver historically that's still active, and he thinks he's as bad as Ricky Stenhouse. To be fair to Stenhouse, he's run pretty well this year. So there is that.
But it is surprising because Kyle Busch is like just a year ago. Busch had 3 wins in 2023 in his first season with RCR.
Right. Although I will say they came in a stretch, right? It was like 3 or 4 races that he won, and then he fell off the planet.
Yeah, what was it? It was Auto Club, Talladega, and
he ran well at Sonoma too. I think was like a P2 at Sonoma or something. But yeah,
I do recall, like, yes, it seemed like the first half of the season went much better for him than the second half because he was trash in the playoffs and he hasn't really gotten off to a great start this year.
Yeah. So there is that. As for North Wilkesboro getting a cup date, I don't know. Like, it'd be sweet, but at the same time, that short track package has to change because if you actually race that race for points, nobody's going to show up after a year.
Well, I think we can turn our attention to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600.
A lot going on this weekend.
Memorial Day weekend is always great for motorsports. You get the Monaco Grand Prix in the morning for F1. You get the Indianapolis 500 in the afternoon for IndyCar, and then you get the Coke 600, Charlotte, North Carolina at night. So I think every year it's over 1,300 total miles of racing in one day.
Yeah, because you got 1,100 for Indy and Charlotte combined, and then I think Monaco's about 200 miles. Like, yeah.
Do you get excited for Monaco at all?
What?
Do you get excited for Monaco at all?
I get excited for Saturday at Monaco when it's qualifying day because that's
that pretty much determines the winner.
I mean, unless somebody royally screws something up, like we did see last year, they completely again Ferrari totally messed up pit strategy at Monaco and stole a win from Leclerc, their own driver, who is a Monegasque, by the way. If you're not sure what that is, it means he's a native of Monaco because Monaco is its own principality. He literally grew up there, so like he grew up on these streets. I don't know. I like it for the pageantry, the history of Monaco. Obviously, you're not watching it as an actual like racing event.
It's boring. They can't pass.
I mean, the cars are too big for that road, so they can't.
It's like horrendous racing.
No, I mean it is. There is an alternate route that they could go that's been floated that may bring in some more passing zones, but like the cars are still too big. So unless somebody wrecks it, you're not really moving up anywhere. The Indy 500 is fantastic. I get it. It's really the only IndyCar race that a lot of people watch each year, but it is a pageantry type race again. Kissing the bricks at the end, drinking milk at the end. And there's going to be a lot of NASCAR tie over this year because we got Kyle Larson in the field, who's starting 5th, by the way. That man is just fast in whatever you put him in. I saw Jenna Fryer, not to get on a tangent here, but Jenna Fryer tweeted out, she's a NASCAR reporter, wrote an article saying that Kyle Larson is in the conversation with Max Verstappen as best driver in the world. I'm like, no, it's easily Larson. It's not even close. Verstappen's car is so much better than anybody else's. You could put anybody, Monkey could drive that car to a championship at this point. Like, it is. Larson gets in a dirt car, it's fast. Gets in a truck, it's fast. Gets in Xfinity, Cup, Indy. He showed up at Indy and his first 2 laps were the fastest on the board.
Yeah.
Having never driven a hot lap.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, so it's like 1,300 miles. We'll have to see what they do if Larson has a similar issue on Sunday as he did.
You can postpone an all-star race if for
Pretty
that
hard to
situation.
postpone it.
It's pretty difficult to postpone a points-paying race, especially one as long.
Yes,
We'll get into that as the Coca-Cola 600.
The longest one, and we haven't even touched on the elephant in the room, which is weather.
Oh yeah, you got to figure because when NASCAR comes to town, it's due to rain.
Yeah, although I think it's also supposed to rain in Indy. I think I saw some forecast that may have a shot at rain on Sunday at Indy, it's just Kyle Larson's fault. We're just going to blame him. He's the only one in both places at the same time. So it's either Larson or Penske. One of the two guys is causing the problem. So yeah, I guess we'll see. I would imagine that if the forecast holds, that the race is going to be hard to get in on Sunday.
So you think that potentially race Monday?
Potentially. But it's not like the forecast gets much better until like Tuesday.
And I will say, we're recording this Tuesday night, and
Correct.
We don't even have DraftKings prices yet. We're kind of just due to some scheduling later in the week, we couldn't record the podcast as late as we normally do, so we are getting this one out early. So anything could change regarding the weather. It just doesn't seem likely. It seems like we're destined for some rain, some weather, some red flag, long-ended cautions. So we'll make the most of it. But hey, we get trucks, Xfinity, and Cup this weekend for NASCAR DFS.
That we do. It'll be a tag team effort here on the playbooks. Dan will have the truck and Xfinity write-ups. I'm going to do half of the Cup playbook. I'll do the strategy part, the data tables, whatnot. I will hopefully have enough time to provide Dan the practice to qualifying table before it goes up. But he is going to graciously rate the player pool and select the drivers and whatnot. I have a family event on Saturday, so basically no time for me to sit there in front of a computer and mull over the practice and qualifying details for a race that may not happen the following day. And if it's a Monday, we all know what that means. Truex is so anyway, so how do we want to go about this without knowing the prices? Again, it's Tuesday night thanks to traveling later in the week, so we're doing this earlier. But Kyle, I guess we'll just start this with Kyle Larson because we've already talked about him. He is obviously the talking point of just about everything. We saw him start from the back in the All-Star race, try to move up through that field. Obviously, a lot more laps in this one and a lot bigger track in this one as the thing reacts. I literally don't know how to take that setting off. At least it doesn't turn me into a cat like the lawyer who had to give a deposition as a cat in 2020 during COVID. So there's practice and qualifying on Saturday for the Coke 600, right? Final practice, carb day for the Indy 500 is Friday. So I don't suppose that he will have any scheduling conflicts. But perhaps if weather is in between both places and he can't get there,
does Kevin Harvick jump back in?
What?
Does Kevin Harvick practice and qualify the car in that case?
Yeah, I don't know, but either way, he's gonna have to start in the back because you'd have a driver change between qualifying and the race. So it's almost better for him to just go out. Like, this is gonna sound crazy to say, but it's almost better for him to go out having not put that car on the track and just see what. Remember last year? Anybody remember the first half? Was it last year or 2 years ago?
I thought it was 2022 when he was trash for the first 200 laps.
And he literally caught fire.
Yeah, and then he was
and then wound up winning
the rest of the race.
So, you have a long enough time to figure out what your car has and make adjustments and move up because you're Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels, and that team doesn't miss much. So at this point, what keeps you from putting Kyle Larson into your DFS lineup?
Fatigue. I mean, especially if he's going back and forth all weekend. especially come Sunday when he has to go and do 500 miles at Indianapolis, then get on a plane and do 600 at Charlotte. I know it's been done, but at the
Kurt
same
Busch, I
time,
believe, is the last one to do it.
yeah, like I'm sure that still takes a physical toll and maybe even a mental toll. Like I don't know how you do it. Like all you're probably doing, on that plane ride is like probably just rehydrating and trying to like rest up for it. And as soon as you get in, you have to go and race an even longer race after you did the Indianapolis 500. Like it's tough, and I'm sure he can do it. If there's one person who can go out and potentially win the Coke 600 after running the Indy 500, it's probably Kyle Larson. But really, the one thing that would keep me is just like maybe potential burnout.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to the guys who have done it previously. Kurt Busch has been talking to Kyle Larson for a while now since this became a thing. Kurt Busch is the last one to do it. Obviously, different generation IndyCar, different generation Cup car. But I would suppose that if there's any dude on the planet who can take 1,100 miles of racing in two different cars in two different places in the same day, I think it's probably Larson, because I bet you he's got a dirt race set up for like Tuesday. So that's what he does with his dirt racing scene. Is like he raced at Kansas last year, and the next night he was up here like 20 minutes from me at a dirt track racing his dirt car. But I think he's by far going to be the highest paid guy.
If he starts in the back, yes.
I think if he starts anywhere, yes.
I feel like it probably tapers off if he can get in the top 10. Like, because we're going to see other drivers, especially ones that have looked really good on the intermediates. Denny Hamlin, Truex, Reddick, Byron. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to go out now. If we can get Larson in the car for practice and qualifying, and he's very satisfied with it, and he clearly like runs well with it, and he's on the pole, then yes, he's probably the most popular driver. I don't know, but if we get these other guys that show up in practice and qualifying and are laying down fast laps and qualify better, I think it's just a general reaction that casual fans kind of flock ownership to those guys. And I'm not saying like we're going to get an ownership discount on Kyle Larson at all. I just think that I just don't know if I'm ready to say that he is guaranteed to be the most popular driver in the field.
Okay, that's
if
fair.
He starts in the back, yes. If he starts in the pole, yes.
Yeah, because he's a free square if he starts in the back, basically.
Sure.
But yeah, I just think because I think you're going to get a bunch of casual people who want to get in on a storyline and want to say, "Hey, I played Kyle Larson on the day he did the double just to see what happens."
But they could also just bet him if they're in a legal betting state as well.
I mean, that's true. Although his odds for the Indy 500 are ridiculously low. Like, like I'm writing a betting piece for it. I kind of have to include him for hits, but like I really don't want to bet Kyle Larson to win the Indy 500.
I wouldn't.
He's at plus 650. Like,
yeah,
it's not long enough. He started there and he's staying there. That's not long enough. Okay, so sticking with other guys we assume to be in the top tier. Again, prices haven't come out yet, but you could pretty well assume that it's going to be Byron is up there. I would bet you Denny Hamlin's up there. Reddick is probably up there. Do you think that, like, I mean, Truex, we mentioned him.
I think Blaney is up there based on what happened last year.
Probably.
Because this was kind of the race that turned his season around.
It was.
And to his credit, he ran a phenomenal race, pulling up his...
Yeah, he was quite dominant last year. He does have 3 top 5s in the last 5 races at Charlotte Moto Speedway.
Especially in the next-gen car, if you can go out and lead 163 laps in a 400-lap race, it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to get anybody like Truex, who led 392, 93, 194 that one year where he led just everything. It was unbelievable. That's not going to happen this year. But yeah, I would expect Blaney to be kind of hovering there. I wonder what Logano gets as a bump from the others. I mean, I know that they're incomparable, right? North
Sure.
Wilkesboro is very small, very narrow. Hell, it goes uphill and downhill because they couldn't grade the track before they paved it. So it literally has slope in the straightaways.
I actually didn't know that.
Yes.
Really?
The front stretch goes, I think, downhill, and the back stretch goes uphill, or vice versa. But they
Oh,
didn't
are you talking about
grade.
North Wilkesboro?
Yes, not
I thought you were
Charlotte.
talking about Charlotte. My bad. That's
No,
why I'm
Charlotte is
confused.
fine. Charlotte is a Temple of
Okay.
Speed.
Yeah, I knew that about North Wilkesboro.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, the two tracks are not comparable, but somebody's going to go, hey, we got to dominate last week. What do we want to do? Well, he sucks on intermediate, so, you know. But I would think he gets a little bit of a bump just to try to trap people. But, yeah, it's hard not to go with Byron as a pivot off of Larson, though.
No, probably not. Especially because it feels like he's been a little quiet the last few weeks almost. And, he was the runner up here last year and he led 91 laps. Already has 3 wins this year.
We say it feels a little quiet, but when you look at comparable tracks to Charlotte, which is Charlotte, Texas, Michigan is in there, Vegas is in there, maybe Kansas, but Kansas has way too many lines to drive that I don't really feel it comps. But when you look at those tracks, the last 4 on those tracks, Byron has finished. His worst finish is 10th. And he's got 2 top 3 finishes in the last 4 races in those tracks.
But I think the argument against Byron, if we're just looking at this year with Vegas, Texas, I hate comparing Texas. But
I mean, I know,
Kansas
but it's a one groove, moderate tire wear quad oval track.
Yeah, but like between Vegas, Texas, Kansas, and Darlington, he led what looks to be just 17 laps between all 4 races, and so if I'm paying this price tag and we're assuming he's going to be expensive, I do want to feel a little more confidence in him as a dominator. It's really my only knock on him. Aside from that, I can't take anything away from him. He's already got 3 wins this year. More are coming. But, his wins have come on a super speedway, a road course, and a short flat. I'm not saying I'm not playing Byron. I'm just saying, like, if I'm paying this premium, I do want the dominator points.
Yeah, Denny's always playable this year. Like, he's just on a roll.
It's Denny's year. It almost feels like we spent so much time talking about Kyle Larson just because of the narrative this week, but Denny Hamlin's having an outstanding year, and it feels like this is his best shot to win the Cup Series championship.
I would agree. If we're looking at the Ford camp, you got to respect RFK.
Yes. Chris Buescher has been in contention to win the last couple of races. Brad Keselowski won Darlington. The team has just gotten progressively better over time. Are they the best Ford team?
It's really hard to argue that they're not the best Ford team.
They're the only ones that actually seem to be making any progress.
Joey Logano's $1 million richer, though. But
I don't want to.
Does this mean that did Blaney win the title the year he won the All-Star race?
No,
because he won the All-Star race 2 years ago, won the title last year.
And I think 2 years ago in 2022, I think that was his only win that season.
It was his only win, and technically shouldn't have counted because the window net thing.
That's true. He's a cheater.
Yeah, Rouse. Cheater. Do you think the fight at North Wilkesboro puts a charge into Kyle Busch's team?
See, I hope so, because if we're just going off pure track history, Kyle Busch has one of the better resumes at Charlotte, and
correct,
that team could really use a good run, because I think even Kyle Busch is losing confidence in that team and in that car.
I would agree. The only saving grace is that Kyle Busch has generally been fast at intermediates this year.
I think you're right.
He may not have had the best finishes. but he's been generally fast at those tracks, including on pit road, which is why he hasn't had the best finishes.
Yeah, he finished 26th at Vegas, led 18 laps. He was top 10
Pretty
at
sure he finished ninth
Texas.
at Texas.
Yeah, he was ninth at Texas, eighth at Kansas while leading 14 laps. Dover is not an intermediate, but they run the intermediate package, and he finished top 5 with 34 laps led. Not a great day at Darlington. So it is a mixed bag. This kind of has been the case with Busch this year. There's like top 10 equity and like some dominator potential, but then you're also running the risk that he finishes outside the top 20.
Well, yeah, I would lean into the Busch narrative of, getting shoved to the ground over a stack of tires has got to let a fire in your ass. Like, if this doesn't do it, if getting into a fight with Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
A much smaller Ricky Stenhouse.
True, although he's pretty fit. I have to give him credit for that. He that man stays in shape. By the way, speaking of Stenhouse, in the last 6 races at Charlotte, he's posted an average finish of 10.0.
Yeah, I just pulled up driver averages, and when every week they update it with like the top drivers at Charlotte since over the last like 3 or 4 years. Surprisingly, he has the 4th best average finish.
Yes,
Kyle Busch is first at 3.7. Tyler Reddick is 6.7. Kevin Harvick, who is now retired, is 8.0 average finish, and Stenhouse has an 8.7 average finish. That's incredibly impressive, actually.
If you look over the last 6 races at Charlotte, just the Charlotte Oval, because obviously that, since that time there's still racing in the Roval. Just the Charlotte Oval, the last 6 races, Stenhouse has the 3rd best average finish at 10.0. Tyler Reddick is at 8.6. Kyle Busch is at 8.0.
And in the next gen area, he's finished 7th in both Coke 600s.
Yes, he has. By the way, that 10.0 puts him just ahead of Truex at 10.2, just ahead of Blaney at 10.5, ahead of Chase Elliott at 12.8, which I can't believe we've made it this far talking over an all-star race and Charlotte and haven't mentioned Chase Elliott.
I know we got.
We don't have to. I'm just saying I'm surprised.
No, well, I know he got the win at Texas, but he didn't have the best car.
No, that was pit strategy and just pure gumption.
Yep. I don't know. Like, yeah, I'll play Chase.
I mean, at some point we have to, right? The only guy I'm thoroughly not playing
excited about it. Wait, you're not excited about playing Bowman?
No.
Why's that?
He's not even excited about being at Hendrick. Did you see his clip describing his teammates?
I did not.
He was like, you got Kyle Larson, who is like the most talented driver in the world right now. You got William Byron, who's a future Cup champion. You got Chase, who is a Cup champion. And then you got the village idiot and me.
Well, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek.
I mean, a little bit, but can we say he's wrong? No.
No, but I mean, he's a previous winner. I would say the next gen.
I mean, he's
been kind to him.
Backing his way into wins has stopped.
It sure has.
Where's that T-shirt from Denny?
I do have that T-shirt. I just don't know where it is.
Oh, excellent! I have the Ross Chastain Martinsville Hall the Wall T-shirt.
Oh, the Hail Melon.
Yeah, the Hail Melon.
Nice.
In terms of guys we expect to be mid-tier, it's really going to come down to where they qualify.
Yeah, and you can probably say that about some of the value guys as well. But I feel like in the value tiers when I'm building tournament lineups, it's where I kind of take a little more risks with like the super cheap guys, and where if they're starting like in the top 25, I'm kind of hoping they can steal a top 15, maybe just like a top 20. I think the other thing that we normally talk about with the Coke 600, and I don't mean to get off track, but this is a long race with 4 stages. It's the only race in every year with 4 stages. Do you tend to still not entirely fade, but you do exercise caution with younger drivers that just aren't used to the length of this race?
I do. The recent batch has kind of disproven that, but I've also like the recent batch of young drivers the last couple of years have also been more talented, and
Because what are your thoughts on Ty Gibbs? Because he'll be in the mid-range.
He will be in the mid-range. He's also in elite equipment. I'm fine with playing Ty Gibbs. I don't think the same thing, goes for Gibbs as for some other younger guys. I just think he's grown up in racing. He's been basically groomed to do this.
Dare I say he's likable?
He's become way more likable in the Cup Series.
Yes, he has.
Which is good. I think there was some maturing that happened with, the unfortunate events.
It was a very sad story that happened.
Yes.
After he won the Xfinity title, yeah.
Yeah. But he's become a lot more likable. I think he's a guy that can hang on. Although, did he run this last year?
I don't think he did, which is why I'm asking, because I think this is his first.
Well, he got credit. Hold on. He's got credit for running at Charlotte Oval. Did they did the Roval last year, right? The second race, only were.
Yes.
This is so bad, I know, but it's hard to keep these things straight after a while, to be honest.
Oh yeah, wait. Last year was his first full-time Cup Series. My bad.
Well,
started 21st, 19th, and finished 26th.
No, he wasn't in the. But he did get a bunch of.
In 2022, he had a handful of races, but yeah, I forgot last year was his first full-time Cup Series season.
He ran it full-time last year?
Yes.
2020, you're serious? The whole
2023, he ran the full season.
Did I seriously lose an entire year? What happened?
And it's part of why everyone thinks he takes the next step this year and gets eventually.
Right. Yep. No, you're right. I totally just forgot an entire year. Like the people that were like, "Well, are the Chiefs going to win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill?" That happened last year. So anyway, Ty Gibbs ran it last year. He started 19th, finished 26th. So I think he's
been solid on the intermediates this year. I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing has.
I mean, yeah, he's now up to speed. I don't think it's clearly he's young, but he's obviously had a full year. He knows what to expect.
If he wins this week.
But some of the other younger guys, I still have a little bit of concern about them. But like Harrison Burton, my concern is actual performance based and not can he handle the length of the race.
Fair.
Yeah,
he's not good.
No, but John Hunter though, he's intriguing. Depending on where he starts. He's finished 17th and 13th here in the next gen. In his two races here.
And he's not going to be expensive. We know that much.
It's been. I feel like he's been decent on the intermediates this year.
I feel like he's had kind of sneaky top 20 equity most weeks, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So
let's see. He was 22nd at Vegas, obviously not great. But seriously, in 3 of his last 4 races, he was 20th at Dover, 13th at Kansas, 31st at Darlington, which obviously sucks. I'm guessing he ran the Open at North Wilkesboro. I guess I can't really qualify that as a top 20.
Yeah, when there's only 15 cars.
Yeah, but obviously trending well heading into Darlington, and then just had a bad run.
Yeah. Let's transition a little bit here to bets. And are we betting outright winners, or are you better with betting props this week?
I'm looking at outrights right now. Sorry for the dead air. Byron 10-1 is actually not bad. I kind of like that.
I kind of like that. I like that better than the plus 500 for Larson.
Yeah, that's plus 450 on DraftKings, which is pretty terrible. I also like Ty Gibbs at 14-1. I don't know if I like it actually, or if it's in that range of bets that I want to take Ty Gibbs to win because I do want to be
Okay,
on
so
Ty Gibbs for that first win.
BetMGM has him 16-1.
That's better. Oh yeah, for sure. I would take 16-1 for Ty Gibbs.
But I also see Buescher at 14-1.
Buescher's also 14-1 on DraftKings. Chastain is 16-1 on DraftKings. Who he has run well in the intermediate package, and Chastain is good for legitimately what feels like 2 wins every year almost.
Sorry about the cat interruption.
No, you're good. Cat's got thoughts, man. Cat wants to weigh in.
Cat wants to weigh in. Usually it's not helpful, but she tries.
Cat wants to bet Ross Catstain.
Let me put it this way. I see Chastain at 20-1 on BetMGM.
That's amazing.
I'll take that. And this is why you gotta shop lines, because if you're comfy with Chastain at 16-1, take the extra 4-1 benefit on the same bet. Right? I mean, you're betting $10, 16-1 is $160 back. If you're betting $10, 20-1 is $200 back. I'll take an extra $40. Now, I don't like Kyle Busch at 20-1.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, sorry.
You know what? I'm not going to bet this, but Austin Dillon has 3 top 10s in his last 4 races here, and he's like 200-1 on DraftKings
For
the outright win.
Outright, what is he for top 10? You said
for top 5, I think he's 18-1 is what
he is at Bet Rivers.
6-1 for a top 10 on DraftKings.
He's plus 600 for a top 10 on DraftKings?
Austin Dillon, yeah.
I would take that.
Yeah, that's not
I would take that.
My God, Jimmy Johnson's in this race. Why?
Yeah, that's not happening.
He hates this car.
We're not bad. We're not. No, just nothing about that is good.
You know, there's that belief that, like, at a certain point, senior citizens shouldn't be able to drive.
Jimmy has definitely hit that.
Jimmy should not be allowed to drive a stock car anymore. Like, he kind of missed the boat on getting introduced to the next gen car, and he himself has said, like, he just can't drive this thing.
No, because it completely drives opposite of how he likes to drive.
Yeah.
But by the way, congrats to Carl Edwards, who got elected to the NASCAR Hall of Fame today, along with Ricky Rudd and one other guy. I don't remember. But yeah, congrats to Carl Edwards on your farm in Missouri, wherever that is, for making the Hall of Fame. Here's an interesting matchup for you.
Yeah.
On DK, Denny minus 105, Larson minus 125.
I would take Denny.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
It's not even odds. You're actually getting the edge with Denny.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where there's less, like, Denny's sole focus this weekend is just on the Coke 600.
Correct.
It will be his entire weekend. He doesn't have to go anywhere. And even if you took away the narrative of Larson being in Indianapolis, they've arguably been, like, Denny has more wins this year. They've both looked outstanding on the intermediates. And if you're giving me the better value with Hamlin, yeah, I would just take Hamlin over Larson.
Yeah. Same here. Let's see if I can find any other. About William Byron and minus 105, Tyler Reddick minus 125.
I think I still take Byron.
Yeah, I would too. Plus, you're getting a better return.
This is an interesting one. The very bottom one, Christopher Bell, Battle of the Chris's.
I was just going to ask you about this one actually. So, yeah, the C Bell against C Buescher.
Yeah, this one's tough because you can obviously prefer to run with the momentum of Buescher.
But Toyotas at intermediates is pretty.
I know, and my gut is telling me Bell, even though I know Buescher has looked much better lately.
Yeah, you're also getting a -110.
Yeah.
On Buescher compared to a -120 for Bell, so it's close, but again, slightly better. And Keselowski versus Chase Elliott.
Keselowski.
Yeah, I don't know that one's as close as the other ones, to be honest. Logano and Kyle are getting you the same return. Kyle Busch and Logano.
I would take Busch.
I may not bet. I mean, I'd probably stay away from it.
I would just avoid it, but if I'm taking one, it would be Busch.
Ty Gibbs and Chastain are the same.
Are you looking at the group bets yet on DraftKings?
I have not, but give them to me.
Group A is very interesting. It's Kyle Larson plus 170, Denny Hamlin plus 225, Tyler Reddick plus 330, and I don't know why you just don't take a stab at this one, but William Byron is plus 400.
I would take Byron.
I would as well.
I would take. I mean, if you're just going for let's just have some fun with this, I'm going Byron. If you're betting it to actually try to hit a good return that probably has better odds, I'm going with Hamlin.
I think
because you're still getting what plus 225. You said.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, not too bad.
You could basically do like, I don't know. You
in that grouping, I want no parts of. You said Reddick. I want no parts of Reddick in that grouping.
Yeah, probably not. Like you could probably do a full unit on Hamlin and then maybe a half on Byron because I think either way.
Yeah.
Is it weird that we've discussed a few bets and yet the one that sticks out to me the most is Austin Dillon's top 10, and I hate myself for it.
I like that one a lot. I like that one a lot. What is Bubba going off?
We for outright, 28-1 plus 2,800.
What about like a top 10?
At least plus 350 for top 5. He is plus 100 for a top 10.
Okay, I mean even money's not terrible. I don't know that I would bet the top 5.
No, I wouldn't.
And at 28-1, I don't think I'm betting him to win it either.
I know Bubba's an experienced driver, but even in a race this long, I still have concerns. Like I don't play him with a ton of confidence most weeks because he's very boom or bust. I still think he's having a pretty good year, just based on the speed that we've seen. But it's not necessarily something that I'm really excited to bet.
I would agree.
Really kind of gave the lay of the land with this one. Is there anything else you wanted to touch base on?
No, I mean just check the forecast. Early forecasts can be wrong. They're out 6-7 days before a race.
Yeah.
Basically. We all know how accurate weather guys are that far out. I probably won't be in Discord that much this weekend. I have a family function on Saturday.
I'm doing nothing. I'll be in there all weekend. I don't even plan on going to sleep.
Well, that's probably.
I felt bad because like I gave nothing last week for North Wilkesboro because of like the things I had to do. So I'm going to overcompensate this weekend, and I will be in there almost ad nausea.
Well, there you go. So hopefully it's not shaping up to be a long weekend. The good news is if they postpone it, everybody lives in Charlotte, so it's not like anybody's trying. They get to sleep in their own beds. I mean, Hendrick guys literally have to pass their shop to get to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's like practically it's practically in the parking lot. But yeah, should be a good fun day of racing. I plan on watching as much of all three as I can. I quite like doing that. I know F1 got crap a few years ago when they moved Monaco and it wasn't on Memorial Day weekend.
It's a bad race.
I mean, yeah, but they screwed up the triple header. Like, just do it for marketing.
Sure. But then,
we all know it's a bad race, but like
then people tune in and they're just like, this is it.
Okay, but a couple of years ago it was timed because they had the rain start, and that had some drama to it. Plus, Ferrari pit stops are hilarious. So there's that.
Tune in for the race. Stay for Ferrari's pit stops.
There you go. Or see if Verstappen's doing a 24-hour sim race in the middle of an F1 Grand Prix again.
Nice.
He did that last weekend at Imola. He did a 24-hour iRace around actually driving an Imola.
Good for him.
Because he's doing side quests now. Because nobody can catch him. Much like Larson doing the Indy 500. So that'll be fun. Everybody have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend, whatever you're doing. You're barbecuing, enjoy it. Don't light your houses on fire. And hopefully the weather is good where everybody is. But that's all I get.
All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to you this week, and best of luck to the FA Nation.
Best of luck, FA Nation.